What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Spectators Baseball Podcast. My name is Ju, and I am here with Kin, who is a young Jedi in training, apparently. He cannot get the Force to be with him, and that is okay. Kin, what's popping, baby? How you doing? How you feeling?
Feeling absolutely fantastic. I'm ready to do some elite level hating today. How about you?
Ooh, it might be a hating day. I feel like I'm going to be not hating really at all. I feel like I'm going to be a pro player guy today is what I'm feeling. I know
Just
you're not, though. I know you're
just
not.
sometimes you just wake up and you set your alarm extra early, and you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah,
You know,
gonna
so
really.
growing up, I don't know if you ever heard people were like, it doesn't take anything to be kind. It's also free to hate.
This is
It's
real. I
free to
mean,
hate. So and you're here for the BOGO. The buy one get one free on that. Today we're gonna go over the cover athlete for MLB The Show, which was announced earlier this week, and then we are going to be taking a look at Fangraphs and their steamer projections and talking about certain players, whether or not we think we will outperform or underperform those steamer projections. So with that being said, let's get into the cover. MLB The Show 24 coming out sometime in March. I think the 19th is when it's coming out. That matters to us specifically because we play that game. You've streamed it in your past. I stream it pretty often still in the current. And a lot of our time goes into that game. The cover doesn't really mean a whole lot, but it is cool to see a new guy get on it. And for this year, we had Vladimir Guerrero Jr., which I'm going to pull it up right here and show you guys what this cover is looking like.
oh, we got a cool little transition page. Okay,
We got a nice
okay.
little transition
That was
page.
slick. That was slick.
And yeah, so here it is. Here's what Vlad is looking like. And I like the cover. I know you have some thoughts on it being Vlad in particular, but I think the cover is cool. I'm a big fan personally. And, they put the Dominican stuff on there. I do think there's probably about 6 other Dominican players that would have been cooler to have on here. But Vlad, for his multi-international, including the Canada, the Dominican, and obviously still like his U.S. fans, this will be one of the players that'll help sell more copies than other ones. So for me, it's like kind of cool for that. But I wanna hear your full thoughts, emotions.
No, yeah, no, it's definitely cool. You get the whole country of Canada behind this game now.
Yeah.
Um, And that's really all a cover athlete is for, is to grow a player base, get people to, at the very least, look at the game. But when you think about it, Toronto really reached its peak like 2 years ago, and so did Vlad Guerrero 2 years ago when he hit 48 home runs and had his anomaly of a season, and was arguably the best player in the league for about a year. Well, best hitter in the league for a year.
Yeah.
Last season, brother was mid. He was closer to being a replacement level player than he was to being a very good player. He had a 1.0 WAR on. I'm using Fangraphs here.
Specifically for the narrative, he's using Fangraphs. I do want that to be known.
We don't gotta go with that. 1.0 WAR on Fangraphs. I picked a few guys here that happens to be lower than.
Okay.
Number 1 is known very good player Jared Kelenic. Very, very good player. Number 2
He had a good month.
is known old, very good player hitter Whit Merrifield. Look,
His teammate.
Literally his teammate. He used to be good. He used to steal a ton of bases. He used to hit for a decent average. Now he just hits the ball as weak as he can. Next player is Jacob deGrom in 30 innings pitched.
30 innings is crazy. What was his WAR for last year? Was it 1.1?
Oh, I just had it up. It was actually
probably
like a 1.4 or 1.5. Because he probably threw 30 nasty innings.
They were probably fantastic innings. Like,
Yeah.
just the best innings you've ever seen before his arm decided to alt F4.
And the fourth one here.
Okay.
As a Yankees fan, I think you'll love this. The fourth player that had a higher than 1.0 WAR, higher than Vladimir Guerrero, Gary Sanchez.
Oh. Another Dominican too. I don't know how much you know my hatred for Gary, but that one's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow there. I am.
think
I am. I am. If there is no more Gary Sanchez haters, it's because I am dead. Um, it is. It is that level. But yeah, I mean, a one WAR on Fangraphs. You know, it's on Fangraphs. It is closer to like a 2-2 on Baseball Reference. So don't come
It's a little better.
pitchforks at us. It's definitely a little bit better. And he kind of has had some mechanical issues, but he's shown the pop and he's shown how dangerous of a hitter he can be. And he's still only 25 years old. That's what's like crazy about Vladdy. So he's had like a second place MVP and a really good rookie year prior to that. He's won 2 home run derbies already, 2 of them, pretty crazy. And then had 2 like fall off seasons. And he's only 25. Like, this dude has so much of his career left. He's not even in his prime. We're just getting into it. That this might be one of those covers that age really well. Where you look back, you're like, oh, of course Vlad was on a cover. He was awesome. Or he puts up another one WAR season. We're like, damn.
Less than ideal.
Less than ideal.
If that's what happens, a lot
Yeah,
less than
the
ideal.
good news though is with our game specifically and MLB The Show, there is no cover curse. There's no cover curse. That's nice because since being on the cover, Aaron Judge has won an MVP, Bryce Harper has won an MVP, and Ohtani has won an MVP. So it's not like there's a curse. Like, there's guys who have balled out. Obviously, some haven't had quite the success, like the Javi Baez. Tatis got suspended, but he had a great year. He won a platinum glove. So
I feel like I could think of a curse for each player you just named.
injuries.
Just like Aaron Judge never being able to stay on the field except for the last 2 years, yeah, but he had a few years in a row where it was like, yeah, here's 100 games maybe.
Yeah,
Bryce Harper is his UCL.
he did tear his UCL. Yeah, he'd still
Shohei
play.
Ohtani,
He played really well
Shohei
too.
Ohtani can't pitch next
He
season.
cannot pitch next season. I mean,
Javi
that's
Baez,
just baseball. Javi Baez, that's
Javi
just
Baez swings at worms like
yeah, that one's tough.
he
He
legitimately
swings at the demons in the ground. his imagination is. And then
brothers
Tatis
hammering
was
something.
suspended and the motorcycle injury, which led
That
to
is
the
true.
suspension. So I mean, I don't think there's a lot of footing there, but there's a vision.
It's not like Madden where
No,
like
no.
where like you get on a cover in Madden and then you serve 3 years in jail. Like
Who was the cover of
Baseball.
Madden this year? I actually don't even know. Was it
Josh
Josh Allen? I mean, hey, Josh Allen had a really good second half of the year, but we'll see. Oof, man, dude, beat your demons. Beat Mahomes one time, and I'll give you some flowers. Until then, tomatoes to your face.
Womp womp.
Womp womp, buddy. Seriously, I mean that's neither here nor there. I still like Vlad. I think the cover itself looks awesome. We'll pull that right back up again. I think the cover itself looks awesome, and hey, it's pretty representative of him, of his Latino culture, and it should have some reach. It's not Acuna. I felt like Acuna was a layup. I felt like Jose Ramirez was a layup. I felt like Julio Rodriguez was a layup. And I felt like Adley Rushman was a layup. And they didn't take any of the really easy shots. They decided to take a Steph 3. And I don't know if SDS is Steph or not. They might be, the famous who is Swaggy P when he takes the deep 3, turns around, hands in the air, and then it rims out.
Yes,
Yeah,
that shit rattles out.
That could very easily be what this cover is. But the shot is just about to get shot right now. This game doesn't come out till March, so we got a lot of time to figure that out.
Well, see, one of my things with Vlad, you mentioned like this cover could age really well the next 5 to 10 years, or it could just be like whatever. I need to know when people are going to be ready to have the conversation that his almost MVP year really looks like an anomaly. And I say that because his rookie season, he's barely an above average hitter. WRC plus didn't even reach 110. Second year, we're between 110 and 120. Then we have that crazy third season where he's almost a 70% above average hitter. And we're like, wow, that's insane. And then he drops down to a 133 and he drops down to a 118, which is more like where he usually is. So, like, I saw someone on Twitter that was like, "Oh, you don't think he deserves the cover because he had 2 down years?" Has he had 2 down years, or are they normal?
Or is that normal and he had one up? I mean, there's a lot of players like that though. Think of the Cody Bellingers and Christian Yelich's like specifically. Like you have a great year and a half stretch, like where beginning of one or end of the other, and then a full season, and you kind of get known for a while. Yelich is still riding that. Yelich has been like a pretty replaceable player. Granted, he actually had a bounce back season this year, very similar to how Cody Bellinger did. But outside of his MVP, after that until this season, he was pretty much a replaceable player. Just just bar none. Just you could get a lefty outfielder that can defend better, and you probably get a higher WAR total. So it's like
Right.
there's other
It
guys like
took
that.
it took people a few years to be like, "Oh, wait, he actually kinda stinks."
Yeah, like it wasn't immediately. It took a while. Like there was this hangover of Yelich is insane, Bellinger's insane, and it took like Cody having a disastrous playoffs with the Dodgers to be like, all right, well, mm, mm. And then they went and replaced him, and they're probably in a better spot now. And he's not even signed yet. Cody Bellinger's still not signed. The
Cody
league, the league
Bellinger,
sees it. The league sees it now. They're like,
I think they do.
last year was good. That was the anomaly. That you're not doing that again.
And I think we talked about it, last time when we talked about Blake Snell and Cody Bellinger. Um, I mentioned, like, their career paths, like, they both had a really good year where they were the best at their perspective positions, and then, like, okay, bad, and then another really good year
Yep.
last
Yep.
year, and it's like, and teams just aren't gonna shell out $200 million for that level of inconsistency.
Yeah, and I mean the highs are really high, but like, are you willing to pay Blake Snell for 7 years when 4 of them are probably going to be replaceable? I don't know. And it's not even like the tail end. Usually, if you do like a 7 or plus contract, you're like, all right, the last 3 years they're a wash. We're just doing it to get you. You know, like we
Right.
got to pay you the money, and we want to win a championship in those first 4, so let's do it. Um, to not have that be a certain, and obviously nothing's ever certain, but that's just is what it is. And I feel like, you tell me, that feels like a good way to kind of pivot towards projecting for this year.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying. I feel like we're gonna hop on over to Fangraphs, and what we're doing is we're looking right now. We're gonna look at the first page. So these are the top 30 projected WAR players for the 2024 season. There's some very obvious names on here. There's some names that you may or may not expect on here as well. Ronald Acuna Jr. leading the list, 7.4 projected WAR, pretty significantly higher above Juan Soto, who's the next highest. He's the reigning MVP. The numbers are probably going to be crazy. He's projected 56 stolen bases, which I know he just had a 40-70 year, which is unbelievable. Also never been done. So I'm happy they gave him the MVP. I know Mookie had a really good season. I'm happy they didn't do like Ronald had a really good year. Mookie had a good year. Mookie's been a smidge better with his OPS. So let's give it to him. When it's like, dude, Ronald literally, nobody's ever done that. Like, sometimes you got to award things that haven't been done when they're like close enough to compare, you know? So I was happy.
Valid. You know, the first thing I noticed when I look at this page,
Okay.
as a Yankee fan, and I'm sure that gives it away right there, 2 out of the top 3 guys, Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. I mean, if they can stay healthy the entire season and just almost perform like themselves, they're gonna at the very least be 2 of the top 10 players in the league. So I absolutely love to see that. And I'm sure if we were on a pitcher list, a Garrett Cole would probably be somewhere in the top 5, top 10 for WAR as well. Makes me feel very good about the top end of our team.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, you talk about the Yankees and they trade for Juan Soto, and some people might think they overpaid, and they may or may not have, especially if Soto doesn't re-sign this offseason. But looking into this season, they have both of them playing 150 games. That's a lot of baseball games. Juan Soto played, I think, every single game last year. Very impressive. That's not something a lot of Yankees do. I don't expect him to. But in a year where he's kind of a rental, he's probably going to play more games than he's not, especially if he doesn't re-sign during the season. So I could actually expect that Steamer WAR to go up if he wants to play in 155, 158 games instead of 150. But 12.9 WAR between the two of them is unbelievable. I mean, that just 12 wins. That's 12 wins just off two players, and they're projecting 39 and 46 home runs. So you're expecting these guys to at least give you 80 home runs, 80 RBIs straight away, just off of home runs from these two players. It's pretty crazy stuff, and I don't know what kind of adjustment period Juan Soto's going to have. When he got to San Diego, it was not easy right away. And granted, that was a mid-season trade, and he didn't necessarily want to get traded, but he knew it was going to happen. And this is a little bit different. He has some time to get acclimated. I don't know if it'll be easy right away, but if it is, this might be higher than a 6.7 for Juan this year.
I mean, Juan Soto, he strikes me as a New York guy, where he has the attitude that I feel like is needed to play in New York because, our fans suck. They do.
Yeah.
But
they're a little rude.
They are.
But they expect greatness. And especially when you give up a lot for greatness.
Definitely looking at a guy like Soto. He feels like one of those guys where if he has a bad month and we boo him, he will flip us off and then do better next month. Like,
yeah, he'll be like, shut up, let me cook.
Yeah, like give me a second, relax. And then the next month they'll hit 13 home runs with a 450 on base or some shit. Like
with him specifically, looking at those numbers, 39 homers. Are you feeling an over? Or are you feeling an under? I feel like he's not really like the home run hitter we like to pretend that Juan Soto is.
I don't think he's ever eclipsed that once in his career, no?
No, that'll be the most of his career. Now,
they're
granted,
definitely projecting for Yankee Stadium.
But he's not even a pull hitter. More. That's what's like bizarre about this to me. He's not a pull hitter. He loves going opposite field, and that Yankee left center field is not shallow at all. It is one of the deeper left centers in the league. I feel like if I had to guess, Soto's going to hit the under on those 39.
My gut definitely says take the under.
I would say under. I mean, if it's under, it's like 35.
If I were to find a futures bet, like going on Vegas right now, I doubt the over under is actually going to be like 39.5.
No, because this is strictly. I mean, it has to be kind of similar because these are numbers. Like these aren't just some guys like he'll probably hit 39. Like these are taking their hard hit percentages and everything into account. Fangraphs does a good job with these steamer projections.
Player totals. Let's see if we can find. Well, they have Aaron Judge set at 44.5.
They have 46 here.
They have them all like in order. Oh, I found him. Okay, they have Juan Soto at 36.5. I think that's a better number to be at.
Yeah, I said 35.
Like you just said 35. Yeah. I think that's definitely a better number to be at.
Yeah, it's only 3 difference, but still, like he's not really like this home run hitter, like full uppercut, pull, dead pull. If he was a dead pull hitter, I'd say 55. But he's not. He's not that. So.
Plus, you have to consider the fact that he's going to walk 455 times in his, season.
This is very true. He will do that. He absolutely will. To hit a little pivot here, the number 5 guy for WAR projected coming into this season is Adley Rutschman, the youngster out of Baltimore. Had a really good year last year. He's probably already the best catcher in the league, which is pretty fun. Defensive first guy, obviously. And just taking a look at his numbers, they have him projected. We'll highlight him here for you guys to be able to see it a little bit better too. 20 home runs, 89 runs, 72 RBIs, pretty good K percentage, 130 WRC plus. So it's going to be a lot of defense kind of adding to that WAR, obviously, because everybody else in this top handful is going to be projected for at least 25 homers and probably 90 RBIs or so. I don't know. I feel like 272 average feels a little high. He's a great
I would have
hitter.
to see
He's a great hitter,
what
though.
he did a season ago. I know he was very good. Caught me off guard, definitely.
His jump
Um,
from like the crazy thing about Adley, the only series they have ever been swept with him as their catcher was them losing to the Texas Rangers. It's the only one.
that's crazy.
It's crazy. They've never been swept with him as a catcher until the playoffs, and they got absolutely dismantled. But it's a young team.
Yeah, the thing with Adley, like he just gets on base. And if you start with a good approach, if you're able to get on base, everything else typically is able to fall in place. I mean, the dude almost walks as much as he strikes out. Last season had 92 walks, 101 strikeouts. And if you start with that alone and you're making a pitcher throw you 4 or 5 pitches in at bat, right there you're automatically just going to be a better hitter than say like 80% of the league. So I like Adley a lot. And he has back-to-back seasons of being like, 130-ish in the OPS plus or WRC plus category.
Do you think he'll
And
probably sit around there again at 130? Because that's where they have him at 130 exactly. WRC plus.
I think that's a completely fair spot. He doesn't swing and miss it a lot, and he's not chasing a lot. Hits the ball hard. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think I do too. It's just weird seeing him at 5, like already, for him to be like this superstar essentially. Because like being projected to have the 5th best WAR in the league means you're a superstar. That's just what that means. And
Yeah, I mean,
every other
definitely
name around him is a superstar.
that is true. I mean, a lot that goes into it. The catcher position.
Yeah.
You can be slightly above average defender at the catcher position, and you automatically gain 2.5 WAR just based on that.
Yeah.
Because catcher defense typically is very stinky. So there's definitely that. But I think Adley, I mean, I've thought it a few years ago when I saw people making projections, like MLB Nerds. I know that's a page that catches a lot of flack on Twitter.
Yeah.
Before he even played his first game, they projected
He had him as like
to
the
be
second best catcher or first
Yeah.
best catcher. It was like Will Smith and then him. And people were like,
I
how dare
remember-
you? And it's like, well,
Yeah.
we see what he does and we know the kind of player he is. And catcher is such a bad position historically.
It's also very volatile.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have a season where Will Smith is the best hitter, a top 4 defender at the catcher position, and then next year Jose Trevino looks like a top 5 catcher, and you're like, when did that?
Well, where did that come from? Well, then you blink and like William Contreras is popping off, and like Patrick Bailey's jumping on the scene now too. So like catchers do kind of like, you remember when Joey Bart was like the guy in San Francisco right after Buster Posey left? Joey Bart's gonna be like flipping burgers here in a second if Patrick Bailey keeps like balling out like he was. It was like, damn, how did that happen? Like, where do you come from?
Kind of stinks.
Yeah. It kind of stinks. This guy stinks.
Oh, brother.
Oh, brother. Yeah. So Adley there's pretty cool. The next handful kind of makes sense. Jordan being number 6 is impressive because that means they probably assume he's going to have like almost a historic offensive season because his defense is so bad and he probably will play a decent amount of defense. So to accumulate a 5.7 WAR just hitting, that's going to be pretty impressive out of Jordan. I don't know exactly what his numbers have looked like in terms of WAR the last couple of years, but 39 home runs with a 299 average feels about right. About right. 169 WRC plus is crazy, but that also feels about right. Jordan is the best or second best left-handed hitter in baseball. So this isn't overly surprising.
Yeah, I mean, for reference, I would look at it almost as if they are projecting him to have a 2007 David Ortiz type season, which, mind you, isn't even actually his best season ever. It's his best WAR season ever. He had a 6.3.
Okay.
Hit 35 home runs, 117 RBIs, walked more than he struck out. I mean, he had a 332 average, 445 on base, 621 slugging, WRC plus at 175. And we know this is mostly a DH. Like 99.9% of the time, a DH. He probably played a half an inning in first base.
Yeah.
So, and I looked up David Ortiz for that reason because he is a DH as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a 6.3 WAR in 2007. So reading these projections for Yordan Alvarez, it's like, are we expecting similar things from him? Which, like, I don't hate it.
I
Definitely don't hate
watched
it.
Jordan swing, and I kind of get the same feeling I get when I used to watch David Ortiz. Like, he feels like a little bit better of a patient hitter, but like Jordan is the type of hitter that if you give a mistake to, it just gets pounded. Just pounded. And there's like 3 different pitches specifically that people try and use on him, and they wind up floating, and he just hits a country mile. And you're like, yeah. So, I mean, that'd be kind of crazy. He has like a 2007 Ortiz season.
I know
That'd be very fun.
The counting stats people or the non-analytic people would like me to look at the 2006 season instead, where he had 54 home runs and 115 RBIs. He had one less WAR. Get off my back. Anyways.
Get off my back. It's fine.
But no.
It's fine. But that'll be fun. And then like right behind him, we mentioned it right before we started, but Julio, right behind him, kind of weird because Julio is so good defensively that you would assume that he would be projected higher, but they're not assuming that he's going to have like the best hitting season. They think he's going to hit for some power, 33 homers, which is pretty cool. But he's going to strike out a lot is what they're assuming. 22%, 23% is a lot. And Julio does not walk. And that is like his biggest problem as a player, because this is a 5-tool player. This is an MVP caliber player. Even now, but if he can figure that out, if he can start to walk a good amount more, cut down on the swing and miss, and take some pitches more often, Julio is about as dangerous of a player as there is. His hard hit percentage is crazy. He's so incredibly fast and dangerous on the bases. A really good defender. So I would love to see that walk percentage be up. And if I had to gamble and risk anything, I'd say over on the 7.6 walk percentage for Julio Rodriguez. If he can get that, I'm projecting that's higher. I'm projecting he makes an adjustment and that both of those numbers kind of not inverse, obviously, but he gets the K percentage down to like 19% and the walk percentage up to closer to like 9-10%. If he can do that, he's going to be right there with Judge, Soto, and Jordan for this MVP conversation, but probably closer to like a Judge. Like it'll be those two that I'd look at.
Yeah, so for what it's worth,
okay, we
have not seen this adjustment in the first 2 years.
No.
It actually got worse in the second year.
Okay.
First, in his rookie year, walked 40 times, struck out 145. Second year, walked 47 times, struck out 175 times. Which again, I'm of the belief that if you're a good hitter, I personally don't care if you strike out almost 200 times, and outs and outs regardless.
Yeah, it's fine.
But just the projection, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I would love to see him get on base a little more, dude. Even if he simply had a 350 on base instead of a 330, that jumps everything up 20 points.
Yeah.
And makes him, maybe instead of a 130 something WRC plus to a 145, 150, and then you are looking at somewhere in the 6s for WAR, and you're like, holy shit, Julio is like, we knew he was him, but like he's him.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying. It's like, dude, just be a little bit more patient. And it sucks because more often than not, and this is what really sucks in baseball, this is what makes Judge, Juan Soto, guys like that so special. When you're taking more pitches, it means you're being way more selective, and you're not like kind of putting everything into each swing because you're not swinging as much. So again, Judge and Soto are just anomalies because they walk quite a bit and they have pretty good eyes for the type of power that they present. But then their hard hit percentage is still crazy good. So it's hard to kind of have a balance between those. I know Julio's had that trouble. We looked at guys like Stanton who have had that be an issue. Bobby Witt Jr. is like the worst young guy at it right now. Bobby Witt couldn't walk if you paid him. He just refuses. And it's like, damn, like Bobby Witt might have 80 stolen bases next year if he walks 11% of the time.
That brings me back to a guy, like you said earlier, talking about a Christian Yelich. One of his biggest issues is when he was that guy, when he was that nice at the sport, brother just swung.
Yeah.
Like he just absolutely swung. And then I'm sorry, just coughed out of nowhere. Just when you started looking at his like a deep dive into his more advanced numbers, somewhere along the line he just stopped swinging at strikes. And that is a big part to why he declined as much as he has. So yeah, you gotta, like you just said, find that fine line between, okay, I'm selective, and okay, that pitch was dead center at the belt down the middle and I didn't swing. What the hell is wrong with me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very strange. There's not a whole lot of guys that can do the whole that thing outside of like Prime Stanton. Mike Trout's a good example. He strikes out quite a bit. He kind of always has. Doesn't walk a ton. He's not the worst at it, but he's swinging. Mike Trout's swinging.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I'd like to see Julio and Bobby Witt, like I mentioned as well, kind of get a little bit more into that. That would be really nice to see out of them. Hey, and they're young guys. They're young guys. The league kind of tried to figure them out year 2, and they got to kind of bounce back and make a small adjustment. I mean, Bobby Witt's one of the better shortstops in the league. 30-30 guy. First Royal ever to hit 30-30. Probably do it again this year. But like I said, he might get 75, 80 stolen bases if he walks 9-10% of the time.
Brother's terrified of walks.
Terrified.
Or has nightmares about walks.
It's just not. I like nice walks on the beach. Bobby Witt hates them. Can't stand it.
When bro turns the light off at night, he's running away from walks.
Or he can't move. He's in the bed, just sleep paralysis. It's a BB. It's a big circle with BB and it's just.
You know what I'm talking about too, right? It'd be 2:00 in the morning. You just grab yourself a snack. You turn off the kitchen light. You're sprinting back to your room
For no reason.
You don't know what's behind you.
You have no clue. You can't see. You don't want to. You didn't want to turn on the light. You don't want to
Bobby
wake up
Witt,
the
it's
animals
walks.
and the other people. Like you just, being respectful. Being respectful for Bobby Witt. It's walks. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Oh man, I was trying to look. Is there anybody else on here that you're interested about for top 30 specifically and how their numbers are going to look?
Just because we talked about DHs, all the way down to that 30 spot, there is Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
He's projected to get a 5 WAR. Shohei Ohtani in the 23 spot projected, not 5. I mean projected at 4 WAR.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani in the 23 spot projected at 4.3. He's just going to be a DH this year. We already said. I don't know if we said it before. No, yeah, we definitely said it during the recording. He's not pitching this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw any other just like straight up DHs on here, but those are the first 2 that came to mind. Just in comparison to Jordan at 5.7.
Yeah.
Like they're really projecting him to be top 2, top 3 nastiest hitter in the league, and it's a valid thing to project.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy though, because you look at that 5.7, then you go to Bryce Harper, like you mentioned, a 4 flat. And like if you ask probably any person who would you probably have right now, it would probably be pretty split between the 2. I mean, obviously Jordan's younger, and he might be a better hitter than Bryce, but Bryce has been so good for as long as he has, and despite injuries, despite changing of scenery, has been this player and proven to be a good quality leader of a team. I think like Bryce would probably be taken a little bit more, especially if you weren't talking to guys who were like specifically analytical. And that's a pretty large gap. Like a 1.7 WAR gap is pretty large. So kind of interested to see how that goes. Again, Bryce at first base DH. We'll see how that kind of plays out too. Because I imagine he'll just play this year at first base. Probably just going to be a first baseman the rest of his career at this point. First base DH. Maybe he'll get a couple innings out in right field when needed. But I think they'll just chalk it up at this point. Because Rhys Hoskins left. So they're like, well, we don't feel like replacing it. And they can't put Schwarber there. Do you remember when the Red Sox tried to put Kyle Schwarber there? And it was like one of the most abominable things I've ever seen. That was fun.
It was beautiful. I loved seeing that.
They tried to do the MLB The Show thing where they just like, this guy could probably play first. Put Frank Thomas 40 defense at first. It'll work.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's fine.
Not in real life, man. Not in real life. Yeah, Ohtani with that much is kind of crazy. Probably one of the bigger drop-offs between like an MVP really high WAR season to now. Obviously, half of his game's not going to happen though, so that tracks. That makes a lot of sense. Yandy Diaz being up here, pretty cool. I'm taking the over on Yandy home runs. He has 21. I think he's going to hit like 25, 27, something like that.
I'm not familiar with Yandy's game, not going to lie.
Yandy Diaz is, imagine Luis Arias if Luis Arias' hard hit percentage was top 5%.
That's valid. Instead of bottom 1%?
Instead of towards the bottom. Yes, exactly. Exactly that. Because Yandy is one of the better bat to ball guys I've ever seen. And he had like an issue that Vlad Jr. kind of had, and we, circle back to him, but his first year, he just was a ground ball machine. Like he could not elevate the ball. Yandy slowly last year started to elevate. A lot of line drives came from last year, and he was really good. Him being top 20 is kind of crazy that the Rays have a top 20 projected player in the league. That's not a pitcher. That's not a predator. Like, proud of them. Super, super cool. Super fun.
That caught me out of nowhere. I was not ready for that one.
I'm sorry, man.
And speaking of Vlad, just because we talked about him and his shortcomings, he is up there at number 27, and they're projecting him to really be good. They're projecting to be almost a 150 WRC plus, which is closer to that 167, or I believe it was 167 that he had back in 2021.
Yeah.
Me personally, if I'm a betting man and a hater, I'm taking the under.
And the hater.
I'm taking the under. Had to add the hater part in there.
It makes it feel a little less short-sighted. No, I mean, he's probably the guy on this list that they are looking at specifically, and they're like, all right, you're going to be better. Like, the things you've done should be adding up to better results, and they're going to do that this year. Because he is obviously a hard-hit guy. His walk percentage is fine. He doesn't strike out a whole lot. Like, there's good things in the Vlad red tape when you look at the the red bars, the hard hit percentages and all that. And it just doesn't necessarily always work out in terms of results. They do have him only at this is actually pretty interesting. They have him projected to hit 285, but his BABIP is going to be 288, which means they think he's going to be the luckiest hitter in baseball. That almost every single ball that he hits in play will be a hit. That's what they're assuming.
It's funny you mentioned that. I saw on Twitter. I haven't dove deep into the numbers yet, but someone on Twitter mentioned his BABIP from a season ago and said he was one of the most unlucky hitters in baseball last year.
Yeah, like I just said, feels like
it could definitely be valid, but we're also looking, like I said, at a season that is more in line with his non-MVP season. So that's where my brain goes.
Yeah.
Was he unlucky for the 4 years that he wasn't an MVP?
Maybe. I haven't looked at his BABIP versus actual, so maybe. But they think he's going to be crazy lucky, because to have your BABIP be 0.003 higher than your average, they think everything you hit in play is gonna be a hit, essentially. Like, Like, you didn't get any flukies, nothing. Or
No,
nothing
none.
like hard hit. They don't think a single hard hit ball is going to be an out. Like, they just think, like, if you hit it hard, it's a hit. Good job, my brother. Which is crazy. I want to look at what, like, some of the bigger valleys in the top 30. Like, if you look at William Contreras, that's a significant difference. A 273 projected average and a 321 projected BABIP. That's pretty significant.
Unlucky.
That's unlucky. Like, super unlucky. Who else looks to be crazy unlucky? Nobody's looking like Vlad. I'll tell you that. Nobody's looking that close to their actual number.
Yeah, no, that. I mean,
I don't know how that's
I
calculated.
genuinely don't have words.
No, that I genuinely don't know how that's calculated.
I mean, Juan Soto, his
Pretty
projected
close.
average
His
is
pretty
284
close.
to 289. That is close.
That is super close. So Soto and Vlad, they're just like, nah, y'all. If y'all hit it hard, you're fine.
Something like that.
Yeah, they just don't think they're gonna be unlucky. I guess I don't know. I don't know. Again, I don't know how that's calculated, but that's super interesting. That's something I'd like to learn more about. If you guys know anything about that specifically, more than we do, obviously, let us know in the comments below or reach out to us on our socials at Spectators Media. Little easy plug.
Yeah, if you know how projections are made, because I don't know how they're made. I just enjoy reading them and taking them as gospel. No,
As gospel, yes, because absolutely, Matt Olson will hit 40 home runs this year. Amen.
Yep.
Lock it in. Lock it in. Alex Bregman being this high is crazy. I don't like that. I mean, obviously he's like defense first, but even like defensively, like he's not like, at least in terms of this rating. I know this defensive rating is kind of hard to go by. But that WAR has got to be carried pretty heavily off defense. And is Bregman going to be a better player by WAR standards than Freddie Freeman this year? That just doesn't that doesn't spark in my brain. Like him being, if you ask an Astros fan which you'd rather have, they're going to say Altuve 30 times out of 30. So that's kind of curious to me. I know Bregman had a pretty good year last year, but I've been I don't know if you've been seeing the MLB TV. They've been putting out their top 30 players, or not 30 players, but the top 10 at each position. A lot of people have been doing or Austin Riley or Jose Ramirez at third. A lot of lists I've seen have had like Bregman at 3 or 4, and I'm looking at him and I'm like, really? Like, Bregman had one of his better seasons since his like second place MVP a couple of years ago last year. But his better season was like marginally better than Manny Machado's like worst season, which was this last year.
Yeah, I think if Machado, I feel like Machado is one of those guys that has to be top 2, maybe 3.
He didn't have a great year last year. He wasn't
didn't
fantastic.
have a great year. But you factor in how good he has been for his entire career and how nasty his glove is. I mean, none of these other third basemen that we're going to name in the top, say, like 6, have as nasty of a glove as Manny Machado. Gunnar Henderson is solid out there. Nolan Arenado is still good. He's listed at 7. I'm looking at a top 10 list right now.
This is the MLB one?
No, it's called Dodger Blue.
Nice,
Shout out DodgerBlue.com.
Shout out Dodger Blue. I'm sure Max Muncy's 2 or something crazy.
Max Muncy is listed at 8th for one person. The other 3 people don't have him in the top 10. I don't know why this is the one I pulled up, but I mean, it just I looked it up, and yeah, most of these people have Manny Machado not even in like their top 2 or 3, and I just don't get that.
I think we're taking a lot of look into last season is really what it is. And they see a decline and they're like, which is like fair. It's valid. Pretty loaded position. Like, Manny's not
That's
even the
also
best
true.
defensive third baseman anymore. Brian Hayes is here. So, like, you know,
If only Brian Hayes could hit a baseball.
he's getting better. He's fun.
Yeah,
He's a young kid.
he
He's like
he be
24.
swinging.
He do be swinging. He be trying.
He he's out there.
He's out there for surely. I would like to do that. We need to what we need to do in one of these episodes or off the episode or however we want to do it is we need to come up with these top 10s, and we need them to be whatever they are. And I'm sure people are going to be irate about it because we'll have Machado at like 3 or 4, and they're like, "Herder, why isn't the Ghost of the Flying Dutchman number 3?" And it's like, have you seen his WRC plus? Trash.
You said that out loud, by the way. Like, you
I
said
know.
the Ghost of the Flying. You said that
Yeah,
out loud, and
yeah.
you meant it.
Yeah. I smiled after too. I enjoyed
You
it.
did.
Yeah.
I will say one thing I like about Brian Hayes, since you just happened to bring him up. First 3 years of his career, his average launch angle 7.4 degrees, 2.3 degrees, 5.2 degrees, and then last year average launch angle was 13.2 degrees. Finally got the ball in the air.
That's all he has to do. He had a better year. He was good offensively. He was good offensively.
He was actually objectively good last year.
Yeah, he was very good. Dude.
My thing, if you
I'm
look
saying.
if you look at my Twitter page, which I'm not going to ask you to do that right
I
now.
won't do it.
If you go on _24kin, there's my shameless plug, and you search my and type in ball in air afterwards, I can only imagine the amount of tweets that pop up of me just asking a player to hit the ball in the air.
Just please, man. Vlad will be in there. Vlad will be in there.
He probably is.
Who else would be in there? There's some guys for sure. It's like, dude, hit the ball in the
Shit the ball in the air.
Just hit it in the air, man.
Just hit it in the air.
Give me an 18-degree launch angle right now. And they're like, no. And it's like, okay, I'm sorry,
dude. My first 4 tweets that include ball in air all have a mean expletive, which YouTube doesn't like in it.
It's true.
Just, I don't know who I'm talking about, but April 11th, 2022, hit the ball in the effing air. Just the first one that pops up when I type in. That's from April 11th, 2022. So it's probably the second or third game of the year.
That was the Yankee year where we had the most double plays of all time. So that was likely Aaron Hicks. if I was a betting man.
Speaking of Aaron Hicks, two tweets later, Aaron Hicks hit the ball in the air. Let's go. Rejoice.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I had to bet, it was probably Aaron Hicks, which is pretty funny.
Ball in air. Oh my dude, there's so many. I'm gonna have to once we're off screen, I'm gonna share my screen with you to show you this. There's so many. Just all it says is ball in air.
I like this a lot. What we'll do, we're gonna get together. We'll get some lists made and we'll start tweeting them out, posting them and stuff, and see what you guys think. But we'll also go check his Twitter out, go check our Twitter out, and follow us. And we got stupid takes that we say all the time, and some are fun, some are mean, some are hater driven. It's okay. It's fun.
I'm the #1 hater on Twitter. I'm not gonna lie. Something happens, I'm pulling up all the bad stats.
Yeah.
Number 1, Josh Allen, Vladimir Guerrero.
You're also pretty knee jerk sometimes, which is fun. You're just like, look at this guy. Attack. Just get into a boat. I see it red.
I will say, as much as I can just be like, yep, I'm a hater, I will also pull up very valid numbers that justify my hatred.
Now, do they come after? Is it like a scavenger hunt to try and find them? That's not for me to determine.
Depends on the mood.
That's what I'm saying.
Depends on how I'm feeling.
That's what I'm saying. But I think that's we're gonna wrap it up here. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We're gonna do more preseason stuff again. Next episode will most likely be pitcher oriented because pitchers and catchers are coming in the next week and a half, like 10 days. Pitchers and catchers baseball is starting. I know a lot of guys are out in Florida already getting their early reps in, and I am super excited for a good season. We need Blake Snell and Cody to sign a contract already. Do it. Or don't. I don't actually care. It's not my money.
Yeah, actually, it really doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't affect my day to day at all. But it would be cool. It would be very cool.
I mean,
Shout out.
If he wants to come to the Yankees, I'll take
We're
him.
not doing 9 years.
Absolutely not.
No. Absolutely
Who does he think
not.
he is?
Carlos Rodon, clearly.
You know, it's looking a lot less than ideal.
It's not
after
great,
that first
Bob.
season.
It's not great. Thank you guys again. We'll see you guys in the next episode this Sunday. Take it easy, everybody. Peace.